of you, but I have a dog. Her name is Sasha. I've noticed something about my dog. Several things. One thing is that she has more toys than my children used to have. She has her own toy box, as a matter of fact. And, like my children, most of her toys are never in her box. They're scattered all over the house. But you know that if I pick up one of Sasha's toys, doesn't matter which one, immediately she wants that toy. She can have 49 other toys laying on the floor. Whichever one I pick up, that's the one she wants. And if I give her that toy and she runs off with it, and I pick up another toy, she drops the one that she ran off with, and she comes back and she immediately wants that toy. Doesn't matter. Whichever toy it is, she immediately wants it. And now she's developed this habit of taking the toys and crawling on her little doggy elbows under the bed and hiding them so that I can't even pick them up, so that I cannot even see them. We tend to become what we covet. I read a lot, and one of the authors that I've read over and over and over again is Tolkien. You're familiar with the movies, The Lord of the Ring and The Hobbit. If you remember The Hobbit, you'll remember that there was a dragon, Smaug, who spent his life curled up in a semi-sleep state on his treasure. On his treasure. We tend to become what we covet. You know, to start a discussion on core values, a core cadet counselor asked the teenagers of the Corps, what would you do if your doctor told you that you only had 24 hours to live? The teens mentioned the need to be with friends and with family. And the discussion seemed to be headed in the right direction, but it kind of came undone. One of the teens said, I'd see a new doctor and get a second opinion. Well, I'm finishing up now on the Ten Commandments. As a matter of fact, I just realized a little while ago that today is my last day of my preaching rotation. So the B team checks out and the A team starts to check in. I think we'll have 3 visiting preachers this next month, and then the main preacher will be back for a couple of months. Today's scripture is found in the Old Testament. Under my heading, it says the Ten Commandments, chapter 20 of Exodus. I'm going to read verses 17 through 20. Exodus 20, 17 through 20. I'm going to be reading from the New International Version. You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, or his manservant, or maidservant, his ox or donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor. When the people saw the thunder and lightning, and heard the trumpet, and saw the mountain of smoke, they trembled with fear. They stayed at a distance. They said to Moses, speak to us yourself, and we will listen, but do not have God speak to us, or we will die. Moses said to the people, do not be afraid. God has come to test you, so that the fear of God will be with you to keep you from sinning. Let's pray. Dear Lord, please protect me from myself. Lord, please protect me from my low expectations. Take me now. Hide me behind your cross so that these, your people, will hear your words and receive your message in spite of anything that I may say or do. Lord Jesus, in your name I pray. I mentioned earlier that the Douglas Taylor West, the rector of St. Andrew's Episcopal Church in Dayton, Ohio, proposed a new set of 10 commandments based on his observations of our culture. Number 1, have a good day. Number 2, shop. Number 3, eliminate pain. Number 4, be up to date. Number 5, relax. Number 6, express yourself. Number 7, have a happy family. Number 8, be entertaining. Number 9, be entertained. Number Number 10, buy entertainment. You forgot 11, which is probably get in touch with your feelings. But the real Ten Commandments says that you shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, or his manservant, or his maidservant, his ox, or donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor. One day, Abraham Lincoln was walking down the street with two small boys who were both crying loudly. A neighbor passed by and inquired, "What's the matter, eh? Why all the fuss?" And Lincoln responded, "The trouble with these lads is what's wrong with the world. One has a nut, and the other one wants it." Covetousness is one of mankind's greatest sins. When giving the law, God specifically spoke against a wicked tendency. In fact, inordinate desire was one of man's first offenses. Remember Adam and Eve? Surely God didn't say you couldn't have. See, we become what we want. What we want does become the focus of our lives. Wanting and coveting are the same thing. And God knew that that would be a pattern. We were created for a different pattern, yet we lust after power, happiness, and control. We do become what we want. We're in the middle of election season right now. I'm fond of telling people that if you're a conservative Republican, you're all about money, because if you have enough money, you can control power. And if you're a conservative Democrat, you're all about power, because if you have enough power, you can control the money. We all become the same thing. We become what we want. We lust after power, after happiness, after control. Chris and I were up in Pennsylvania recently on something called a vacation, and I think I worked until I was almost ready to drop. We called it a vacation. During one of the moments when we weren't busy, I was sitting on the porch with Chris, and I was explaining to him about a rare and strange bird that we have in the United States that they don't have in Russia. I'm sorry, you're married to a Russian, that they don't have in Australia. It's a little bird about this long, got a really sharp little nose.
Hummingbird?
And the wings, yes, a hummingbird.
Oh, we have those too.
My wife's parents put a hummingbird feeder out on the porch, which you may know, many of you may know, it's just sugar water. That's all it is, it's just the sugar water. And they had 4 little pedestals for the hummingbird to sit on. And when they first did this, there were hummingbirds there, sometimes at all 4 pedestals, sitting there eating, humming, having a good time. And the sugar water was just disappearing out of this big hummingbird feeder. They were having to refill it on quite a regular basis. Then one day, the sugar water didn't disappear quite as quick. And there weren't as many hummingbirds there at the pedestal. They just kept going and coming real quick, and some of them didn't even stop. And we got to looking closely, and what we discovered is that there was one male hummingbird that had discovered the feeder. And that male hummingbird had decided that feeder was his feeder. And anytime another hummingbird would come close, he would dive bomb that bird and attack it and chase it off. And so the guard duty occupied this bird's every waking hour. From the minute the sun would come up until the minute the sun would go down, he would be. The only time another bird would get to the feeder would be when he was chasing one bird around the house. Sometime another bird would come in and get a drink real quick. That hummingbird teaches us a valuable lesson. By choosing to assume ownership of the feeder, the hummingbird gave up its freedom. The hummingbird gave up his freedom by choosing ownership of the feeder. He was no longer free to come and go as he wished. He was tied constantly to the work of guarding his feeder. He was possessed by his possessions. His freedom of action was circumcised as if he were in a cage. was caged by the situation that he created. The need to guard that fear. You will become what you covet. The Desert Fathers, a protest movement against worldliness in the early church, spoke of busyness as moral laziness. Busyness can also be an addictive drug, which is why its victims are referred to as workaholics. Busyness acts to repress our inner fears and personal anxieties as we scramble to achieve an enviable image to display to others. We become outward people obsessed with how we appear, rather than inner people reflecting the meanings of our lives. When people saw thunder and lightning and heard the trumpet and saw the mountain smoke, they trembled with fear. They stayed at a distance. They said to Moses, "Speak to us yourself," and we were listening, but do not have God speak to us, or we will die. And Moses said to the people, "Don't be afraid. Do not be afraid. God has come to test you, so that the fear of the God will be with you to keep you from sinning." Douglas MacArthur once said, "The history of failure in war can be summed up in two words: too late. Too late in comprehending the purpose of the enemy, too late in realizing the danger, too late in preparing, too late in uniting all possible forces, and too late in standing with one friend." Our choices are obvious. Let's not fail in our work for Jesus and our core, because we're too late. I want to be clear about this. As Christians, we are not to be about the world. We're going to covet. We're going to covet. But we are to have a different standard for what we covet. A different standard. Did you hear it earlier? And do not set your hearts on what you will eat or drink. Do not worry about it. For the pagan world runs after all such things, and your Father knows that you need them. But seek His kingdom, and these things will be given to you as well. But seek His kingdom, and these things will be given to you as well. But seek His kingdom. And so just exactly what are you seeking today? What do you want? If it's something else besides Christ, you're breaking the last commandment. Your salvation is in doubt. The church I speak the language of the end, so that we will know how high the stakes are at the present. You must learn, you must let God teach you that the only way to get rid of your past is to make a future out of it. God will waste nothing. Seek His kingdom, and these things will be given to you as well. But seek His kingdom. Catherine Booth is famous for saying, if we are to do better for the future, we must disturb the present.
Amen.
I don't know if I'm disturbing anyone here or not, but let me tell you, you'll not stop me from trying. The thing I love about being a Salvation Army officer is that the only one I have to make happy is Jesus. And all it requires to make Jesus happy is total commitment. Is total commitment. What is it that you want today? Before his novel, The Firm and the Pelican Brief, and the client catapulted John Grisham to the status of commercial supernova, as Newsweek called him. He was an unknown, small-town lawyer. Today, with all the notoriety, Grisham makes a concerted effort to focus on things that have a lasting meaning, especially his faith in God. Grisham remembers as a young law student the remarkable advice of a friend. He said, "One of my best friends in college died when he was 25, just a few years after graduating from Mississippi State University. I was in law school, and he called me one day and wanted to get together. So we had lunch, and he told me he had cancer. I couldn't believe it. What do you do when you realize you're about to die?" I asked. "It's real simple," he said. "You get things right with God, and you spend as much time with those you love as you can, and you settle up with everybody else." Finally, he said, "You know, really, you ought to live like that every day. You ought to live like you only have a few more days to live." How many days do you have to live? conclusion, I read a story about a preacher that went to a small country service for a relative of a church member. He'd never seen a funeral like this one. They had a body out there, and the casket was open, and the funeral consisted of a sermon by a backwoods, uneducated preacher. The preacher pounded on the pulpit and looked over the casket, and he would say, "It's too late for Joe. He might have wanted to get his life together. He might have wanted to spend more time with his family. He might have wanted to do that, but he's dead now. It's too late for him. But it's not too late for you. It's not too late for you. There's still time for you. You can still decide. You are alive. It's not too late for you. Today is the day of decision." Then the preacher told of how a Greyhound bus had run into a funeral procession once on the way to the cemetery, and he said that could happen today. He said, you should decide today. Today is the day to get your life together. Too late for old Joe, but it's not too late for you. The visiting pastor was so angry at the preacher. On his way home, he said to his wife, "Have you ever seen anything as manipulative and as insensitive to that poor family? I found it disgusting." She said, "I've never heard anything like that. It was manipulative. It was disgusting. It was insensitive. Worst of all, it was the truth. It was the truth." Do not set your hearts on what you will eat or drink, and do not worry about it, for the pagan world runs after such things. And your Father knows that you need them. But seek his kingdom, and these things will be given to you. Do not be afraid, little flock, for your Father has been pleased to give you the kingdom. Sell your possessions and give them to the poor. Provide purposes for yourself that will not wear out, a treasure in heaven that will not be exhausted, where no thief comes near and no moth destroys. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Be dressed, ready for service. Keep your lamps burning. Where your treasure